I really think this campaign could work, I said, clutching my notebook, my voice a little shaky. The room smelled of espresso and polished wood, the chatter around me buzzing like electricity. Landon Pierce leaned back in his chair, a smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. Ella, that's cute, he said, voice smooth but dripping with condescension. But honestly, your idea? It's small. Tiny. I felt heat creep up my neck. Small. I repeated, trying to steady my voice. It's innovative and affordable. He waved a hand dismissively. Affordable, yes. Innovative, not so much. You're aiming for something safe. I like ambition, but ambition isn't scribbling down safe little ideas. It's thinking big. Really big. Do you know what that looks like? I bit back my frustration. I'm not afraid of thinking big. I just want to start somewhere achievable. He chuckled, leaning closer. Sweetheart, starting somewhere achievable is fine, if you don't mind staying small forever. I clenched my fists under the table. Is that a challenge or a judgment? Neither, he said, sitting up straight. Just advice. You can take it or leave it. I glared, but before I could reply, Maya Collins, my best friend, elbowed me gently. Ella, she whispered, leaning in, don't let him get under your skin. You know what you're capable of. I nodded, though my stomach twisted. I hated that his words stung. I hated that they made me question myself for even a second. Landon's eyes twinkled with amusement. You've got spirit, he said, almost mockingly. But spirit isn't enough to make people remember your name. I'll make them remember it anyway, I muttered under my breath, more to myself than to him. He raised an eyebrow. That's cute too. Cute, but ultimately small. That's your problem, Ella. You're dreaming small dreams. My hands tightened around the notebook. Maybe small dreams are better than doing nothing at all, I said firmly, my voice growing steadier. At least I'm trying, unlike some people who sit on their throne and look down on everyone else. He laughed, low and sharp. Bold words. I like that. But remember, the world doesn't reward bold words. It rewards results. Tiny results don't get remembered. Small dreams? Even less. Maya squeezed my hand under the table. Ignore him, Ella. He's full of himself. I swallowed, nodding. Yeah, I'll show him one day, I said softly, more determined than I'd felt in a long time. Not just words. Results. Landon's smirk faded for the first time, replaced by something sharper. I'll be watching, Ella. Make sure your dreams don't stay tiny. As he walked away, I stared at my notebook. Every scribble, every plan I'd written, suddenly felt heavier, with purpose. I wouldn't just dream. I'd fight, quietly, relentlessly. And when the time came, he'd see just how wrong he'd been. Maya nudged me again. See? You're already fired up. That's the real you. I nodded, feeling a spark inside me ignite. I clenched my notebook tighter. Dreams dismissed today, yes, but tomorrow? Tomorrow, they'd have to take me seriously. My phone buzzed while I was buried in spreadsheets, the harsh office lights making my eyes ache. I glanced down. An email notification, Landon Pierce. My heart stuttered. Landon? What does he want now? I muttered, almost to myself. I hesitated, then tapped it open. My eyes scanned the message. Ella, I'd like to offer you a position at my company. Let's discuss details soon. What? I whispered, nearly dropping my coffee mug. It wobbled dangerously on the edge of my desk. Ella, are you okay? Ethan Walsh, my coworker and voice of reason, peeked over the cubicle. He always seemed to notice when I was unraveling. I just got an email. From Landon Pierce, I stammered, heart hammering. Ethan raised an eyebrow. That's unexpected. And dangerous, too. Dangerous. I frowned. It's a job offer. He shook his head. Exactly. Dangerous. It's from him. Remember what he said? About your dreams being small? I sighed, running a hand through my hair. Yeah, I remember. But maybe this is a chance. A real chance. Ethan leaned against the edge of my desk. Or a trap. People like him don't just hand opportunities for free. He might want to control you, test you, or prove me wrong. I finished, the thought making my chest tighten. My mind raced. If I accepted, I could show him I was capable. Not because he believed in me, but because I could. I stared at the email again, imagining Landon smirking as he typed it. Part of me wants to reject it just to spite him, I admitted, my voice barely a whisper. Ethan gave a small, knowing smile. Spite doesn't get results. You know that. But revenge, subtle revenge, paired with strategy, that works. I chewed my lip, torn. I don't know. What if it's too risky? What if I get trapped under his thumb? Then you set the rules, Ethan said firmly. You accept on your terms. Not his. You're not a pawn. I nodded slowly, heart still racing. The idea of stepping into his world both terrified and thrilled me. Part of me imagined the satisfaction of walking in, fully prepared, silently proving every insult he'd ever thrown at me wrong. Okay, so I could do it, I murmured, staring at my reflection in the darkened monitor. I could take the offer, but I call the shots. No compromises. No little girl dreams. My rules. My pace. Ethan's grin widened. Now that's the Ella I know. Smart, calculating, unstoppable. I laughed softly, more to ease my nerves than anything else. Unstoppable. Here? I like the sound of that. He nudged me lightly. Just don't let emotions cloud your judgment. Landon might try to bait you with ego or flattery. Stay sharp. Always. I nodded again, determination settling like steel in my chest. The office buzzed around me, but I felt an odd stillness. I could feel the shift already, the chance to take control, to step out of the small box he'd put me in, to finally carve my own path. Okay, I said aloud, more to myself than anyone else. I'll do it, but on my terms. I'm not his project, not his pawn, not his example of what's small. Ethan clapped my shoulder, laughing. That's the spirit. Go show him how wrong he's been. Quietly, ruthlessly, brilliantly. I stared at the email one last time before closing it, my fingers trembling with excitement and fire. Landon Pierce had just handed me a challenge. And I was ready. The lobby was sleek, all glass and steel, reflecting ambition and arrogance in equal measure. I adjusted my blazer, trying to calm the storm of nerves and excitement swirling inside me. Ella Harper, a receptionist called, scanning her screen. Landon is expecting you. Thank you, I said, forcing a smile. My heart raced, but my chin stayed high. When Landon appeared, I had to swallow hard. He looked every bit the confident, untouchable man I remembered. Welcome, Ella, he said, voice smooth. I hope you're ready for the real world. I'm ready, I replied, steady despite the flutter in my chest. He gave a faint smirk, the kind that both irritates and intrigues. Good. Results speak louder than words. Don't disappoint. I nodded, already feeling the subtle tension as I walked through the office. Vivian Rhodes was the first to notice me. She stopped mid-step, eyes narrowing. You must be the new hire everyone's talking about, she said, voice syrupy, teeth flashing in a calculated smile. That's me, I said lightly, letting the confidence in my voice hide the spike of annoyance. And you must be Vivian. She tilted her head. Careful, Ella. This is a competitive place. Not everyone plays fair. I've noticed, I replied, glancing around. And I intend to play smart, not dirty. Vivian chuckled, eyes glinting. We'll see about that. As I settled at my desk, I noticed Lucas Grayson across the room, leaning casually against the wall. His eyes followed me, subtle but calculating. He approached with a forced smile. Ella, I heard about your background. Impressive. Hope you can keep up with the pace here. I always do, I said coolly, meeting his gaze. Thanks for the warning. Warning, he repeated, a flicker of amusement in his eyes. Oh, I didn't mean it like that. Just, be aware. The place can be tricky. I nodded, silently noting the undertone. Subtle undermining. Predictable. By mid-morning, I had already fielded questions, helped a struggling colleague, and quietly corrected a minor error Landon had overlooked. Watching his brow furrow in surprise felt satisfying. My pulse quickened with the quiet thrill of silently outshining expectations. Vivian leaned over my shoulder, pretending to check her own work. You're fast. Too fast for someone new. Are you trying to make the rest of us look bad? I smiled without looking up. I'm just trying to do my job well. Nothing more. Lucas appeared again, dropping a stack of reports near my desk. Thought you'd need these. Don't want you falling behind. His tone was casual, but the implication clear. Thanks, I said politely, stacking the papers. I could sense the tension behind the courtesy, and I welcomed it. At lunch, Maya Collins called. So? How's the first day? Intense, I said, hiding a smile. Vivian's already sizing me up. Lucas seems to be testing me. And Landon, I paused. He's just as arrogant as ever. But I think I like it. You're enjoying it. Maya's voice carried disbelief. I am, I admitted, leaning back. Quietly proving myself, observing, learning. It feels powerful. She laughed softly. Just don't get too caught up in showing off. Keep your focus. I know, I said, eyes scanning the office floor. But it's hard not to feel the thrill when you're finally playing in someone else's game, and maybe winning silently. By the end of the day, I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't here to impress anyone, especially Landon. I was here to claim my space, on my terms, while they underestimated me. And that thought alone made me grin. The meeting room smelled of expensive coffee and polished wood, the kind that always made me feel both intimidated and alive. Landon sat at the head of the table, his posture perfect, his confidence radiating like armor. Ella, your report, he said, sliding a folder across the table. I expected less. I raised an eyebrow, trying to keep my pulse steady. Less? I thought the goal was to exceed expectations. He leaned back, smirking. I meant less competent. But clearly, I underestimated you. A flash of anger surged through me, memories of the networking event, his words, his smirk, the way he belittled me. Underestimating me isn't new, I said softly, letting the fire in my voice show just enough. It's part of your habit. Landon's smirk faltered for a fraction of a second, replaced by a flash of irritation. Watch your tone, Ella, he warned, though I could see the tension behind his eyes. I sat back, letting the silence stretch. I could feel the satisfaction of quietly outshining him. I'm aware of my tone. Just don't underestimate results. He cleared his throat, regaining composure. Fair. But don't let success make you arrogant. Pride can be a dangerous thing. I let a small, controlled smile slip. I'll take my chances, I said, watching him carefully. There was a subtle crack in his confidence now, a hint that he realized I wasn't just another employee to control. Later, I dialed Maya Collins on my phone, needing someone to hear my thoughts. Maya, you won't believe it, I whispered, pacing. I just had a meeting with Landon. He's taken aback. I can see it. I'm not invisible anymore. Maya's voice was warm, grounding. I knew you'd make an impression. How does it feel? Powerful, I admitted. And frustrating. The anger I feel from the past, it's driving me. Every insult, every belittling word he threw. I remember it all. And now, I get to prove him wrong, silently. Maya chuckled softly. Careful, Ella. Don't let anger cloud your judgment. Channel it wisely. I know, I said, gripping the phone tighter. But it's satisfying, Maya. Every detail of my work, he notices it, even if he won't admit it. He's trying to maintain control, but he can't. Not anymore. After the call, I reviewed my report again, noting small areas of improvement and subtle strategies to highlight my skills further. Lucas Grayson had dropped by earlier, offering helpful advice that was thinly veiled interference, and I could see right through it. My work, precise and thorough, quietly undermined their attempts to keep me small. When Landon returned to his office, I caught him glancing at my progress on the shared dashboard. A subtle frown, a slight pause, tiny cracks in his otherwise perfect facade. I leaned back in my chair, a sense of vindication washing over me. All those small, insignificant ideas he mocked before were now proving themselves more than capable. The power dynamic was shifting, and I could feel it with every interaction. Tomorrow, I whispered to myself, I'll keep pushing. I'll show them that underestimating me was their biggest mistake. Every detail, every step, silent, precise, and unstoppable. The ghosts of his past insults no longer weighed me down. Instead, they fueled a quiet fire inside me. A fire that would not burn recklessly but with purpose. By the end of the day, I felt a calm determination. Landon may have started this game thinking he was untouchable, but even the strongest walls have cracks.
And I had just found the first one.
The meeting room smelled of expensive coffee and polished wood, the kind that always made me feel both intimidated and alive. Landon sat at the head of the table, his posture perfect, his confidence radiating like armor. "Ella, your report," he said, sliding a folder across the table. I expected less. I raised an eyebrow, trying to keep my pulse steady.
Less?
I thought the goal was to exceed expectations. He leaned back, smirking. "I meant less competent. But clearly, I underestimated you." A flash of anger surged through me, memories of the networking event, his words, his smirk, the way he belittled me. "Underestimating me isn't new," I said softly, letting the fire in my voice show just enough. "It's part of your habit." Landon's smirk faltered for a fraction of a second, replaced by a flash of irritation. "Watch your tone, Ella," he warned, though I could see the tension behind his eyes. I sat back, letting the silence stretch. I could feel the satisfaction of quietly outshining him.
"I'm aware of my tone.
Just don't underestimate results." He cleared his throat, regaining composure.
"Fair. But don't let success make you arrogant.
Pride can be a dangerous thing." I let a small, controlled smile slip. "I'll take my chances," I said, watching him carefully. There was a subtle crack in his confidence now, a hint that he realized I wasn't just another employee to control. Later, I dialed Maya Collins on my phone, needing someone to hear my thoughts. "Maya, you won't believe it," I whispered, pacing. "I just had a meeting with Landon.
He's taken aback.
I can see it. I'm not invisible anymore."
Maya's voice was warm, grounding.
"I knew you'd make an impression. How does it feel?"
"Powerful," I admitted. "And frustrating.
The anger I feel from the past, it's driving me. Every insult, every belittling word he threw, I remember it all. And now, I get to prove him wrong, silently."
Maya chuckled softly. "Careful, Ella. Don't let anger cloud your judgment.
Channel it wisely." "I know," I said, gripping the phone tighter.
"But it's satisfying, Maya.
Every detail of my work, he notices it, even if he won't admit it. He's trying to maintain control, but he can't. Not anymore." After the call, I reviewed my report again, noting small areas of improvement and subtle strategies to highlight my skills further. Lucas Grayson had dropped by earlier, offering helpful advice that was thinly veiled interference, and I could see right through it. My work, precise and thorough, quietly undermined their attempts to keep me small. When Landon returned to his office, I caught him glancing at my progress on the shared dashboard. A subtle frown, a slight pause, tiny cracks in his otherwise perfect facade. I leaned back in my chair, a sense of vindication washing over me. All those small, insignificant ideas he mocked before were now proving themselves more than capable. The power dynamic was shifting, and I could feel it with every interaction.
"Tomorrow," I whispered to myself, "I'll keep pushing. I'll show them that underestimating me was their biggest mistake."
Every detail, every step, silent, precise, and unstoppable.
The ghosts of his past insults no longer weighed me down. Instead, they fueled a quiet fire inside me.
A fire that would not burn recklessly but with purpose. By the end of the day, I felt a calm determination. Landon may have started this game thinking he was untouchable, but even the strongest walls have cracks. And I had just found the first one that I sat at my desk, tapping a pen against my notebook, my mind racing. Olivia's betrayal had lit a fire inside me, but I knew I couldn't act recklessly.
Every move had to be precise.
"Sophie, can I talk to you for a minute?" I asked, glancing at Sophie Caldwell, who was organizing files nearby. She looked up, smiling warmly.
"Of course, Ella. What's on your mind?"
"I need someone I can trust," I said quietly. "I think Olivia has been sharing my work with Landon behind my back. I need to figure out how to handle it, without looking petty or vindictive." Sophie nodded, her eyes serious.
"I've noticed some odd behavior too. You're careful, though, and smart.
You won't let anyone make you look bad." I exhaled, feeling a small relief.
"That's why I wanted to talk to you.
I need a confidant who can keep perspective." Sophie leaned closer.
"I'm here. We'll get through this.
Together."
Her support made me feel calmer.
I started formulating a plan, weighing each step like a chess game. I couldn't confront Landon or Olivia outright. That would make me appear emotional, not professional.
But subtle exposure? That would work.
Later, in the staff meeting, Landon praised a proposal I had submitted.
Ella, excellent work.
You're really bringing fresh ideas to the table. I nodded politely, letting my expression remain neutral. Inside, satisfaction bubbled quietly. He was noticing my influence, and I could sense the tension behind his controlled demeanor. Vivian chimed in. Your approach is impressive, Ella. We should all learn from your methods.
I smiled faintly.
Thank you. I just try to be thorough. After the meeting, Sophie approached me.
He's definitely watching you closely now, she whispered, glancing at Landon.
I can see it in the way he's pacing near the office window.
I've noticed, I admitted.
And that's exactly what I want.
He can see my competence building, but he won't know it's deliberate.
He'll feel threatened without knowing why.
Sophie raised an eyebrow. That's cold.
But brilliant.
I smirked faintly.
Calculated, not cold. There's a difference. Throughout the afternoon, I carefully monitored Olivia's interactions with Landon. Every comment, every suggestion she made, I noted. I kept my responses professional but subtly redirected attention, making sure my contributions were undeniable. When Landon asked for a quick status update, I presented my progress clearly, highlighting areas Olivia had claimed but in a way that made her embellishments obvious to anyone paying attention. He furrowed his brow slightly, pausing longer than usual. Interesting. I see what you've done here. I held his gaze steadily, masking the quiet thrill that ran through me. A hint of uncertainty flickered across his face.
Finally, he was realizing that my influence couldn't be controlled so easily.
Later, Sophie dropped by my desk with a cup of coffee. You're handling this well, she said softly. And you're proving yourself without even raising your voice. I'm impressed.
I took the cup gratefully.
Thanks. It's about restraint, patience, and letting the results speak louder than accusations.
Sophie nodded. I think Landon's already feeling the shift.
You're changing the game here, Ella. Quietly, powerfully. I sipped my coffee, feeling a calm determination settle inside me. The first hints of karma were showing, subtle, almost invisible. But by the end of this, everyone would see the truth. Ella, fantastic work, James Donovan said, leaning back in his chair. His gray-streaked hair made him look serious, but his eyes were warm. You've taken this project further than anyone expected. I smiled politely, letting a quiet sense of satisfaction ripple through me.
Thank you, James.
I just tried to follow the plan thoroughly. He shook his head, impressed.
It's more than following a plan.
You've innovated, and it shows. Others should take note. I nodded, hiding the small thrill that bubbled inside me. I could feel Landon watching from the corner of the room, the faint tightening of his jaw betraying his irritation.
Vivian passed by with a smirk.
Looks like someone's making waves, she said softly, but sharp enough for me to catch. Just doing my job, I replied evenly, letting the words carry an edge she could sense but not confront directly. After the meeting, Maya Collins called.
So?
Your first major win.
I leaned back in my chair, smiling. Yes.
James praised the project.
And I think I saw Landon frown.
Subtle, but noticeable.
Maya laughed softly. Careful, Ella.
Don't let pride make you careless. I sighed, shaking my head.
I know. But it's hard not to feel some vindication.
All the effort, all the planning, it's finally paying off.
A knock on my office door made me turn.
Landon entered, expression polite but eyes calculating.
Ella, the report was solid.
Impressive, he said carefully, his voice measured. Thank you, Landon, I replied, keeping my tone neutral but allowing a hint of satisfaction to slip in. I appreciate the recognition. He nodded once, then paused.
Keep this up.
The department will be watching closely. I smiled faintly, letting the unspoken words hang in the air. I was already being noticed. The quiet power shift was underway. Later, Sophie Caldwell approached my desk, carrying a stack of files. You're handling the attention well, she said softly. Not everyone could stay this composed under scrutiny.
I shrugged lightly. It's about focus.
Let results speak louder than words. Lucas Grayson dropped by, offering a thin smile. Ella, impressive work. Looks like everyone's taking note. Thanks, I said politely, keeping my tone light. Yet internally, I noted the subtle tension in his posture. He was wary, a tiny crack in the armor I'd noticed earlier. During lunch, Maya joined me at the cafe downstairs. So, the project's a hit, huh?
Landon must be fuming inside.
I chuckled quietly. I think he is. But it's not about him.
It's about me proving that I can do this, without anyone controlling the outcome.
Smart, Maya said, shaking her head with a fond smile. Don't let ego blind you, though.
You've got momentum, not invincibility.
I know, I said, sipping my coffee. But it feels good to finally see my work valued.
To feel the subtle stir of karma starting.
Back at my desk, I reviewed the project one last time, noting small tweaks for the next phase. Every recognition, every subtle glance from colleagues or mentors, reinforced that my careful planning was working. Landon's irritation was a bonus, a silent acknowledgement of my growing influence. I whispered to myself, small wins now, bigger victories ahead. Quiet satisfaction, powerful results. This is only the beginning. Maya's voice echoed in my mind, stay grounded. I nodded to myself, letting pride fuel determination, not arrogance. Karma was stirring, and I was ready to ride its wave. Ella, we need to talk, Landon said, standing in the doorway of my office. His tone was sharp, clipped, like steel barely held in check. I looked up from my desk, calm but alert. Of course. What's on your mind? He stepped in, pacing just enough to display his irritation. This independence of yours. The way you've been running projects, making decisions. It's unacceptable. I tilted my head slightly, letting the silence stretch. Unacceptable to you, maybe. But everything I've done is within my role. I follow protocols, meet targets, and deliver results. My independence hasn't hurt anyone, except perhaps your ego. His eyes narrowed. My ego? I've been mentoring you, guiding you, giving you opportunities. And this is how you repay me, by acting as if you don't need me. I repay you by proving I can do this, I said firmly, keeping my voice steady. Not because I need validation from you, Landon. I'm not here to be controlled, I'm here to succeed. He stopped pacing, his jaw tightening. You think you're clever, don't you? I think I'm competent, I replied. And yes, I know how to navigate this office without compromising my integrity. You can call it clever, but I call it self-respect. A tense pause followed. I noticed Lucas Grayson linger near the door, pretending to organize files but clearly observing. His support for Landon was obvious, yet even he seemed unsettled by the intensity between us. You're overstepping, Landon snapped, voice rising. You can't just take control and overshadow me. I leaned back slightly, smiling faintly. Overshadowing isn't my goal. Being visible and competent is. You might want to rethink what you're calling control. Results speak louder than threats, Landon. His face hardened, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his eyes. You're not listening. This isn't just about results, it's about loyalty. Loyalty. I echoed, my tone soft but cutting. I've been loyal to my work, my colleagues, and this company. That's loyalty. Blindly bowing to your ego? That's not loyalty, that's submission. And I'm not here to submit. He clenched his fists, trying to regain his composure, but I could see cracks in his confident mask. The arrogance that usually made him untouchable was faltering under the weight of my calm defiance. Lucas shifted, whispering something under his breath that I couldn't catch. I knew it was meant to reinforce Landon's authority, but it only highlighted the tension. He was complicit, yet uneasy. I leaned forward slightly, letting my words land softly but firmly. You've underestimated me from the beginning. You mocked my dreams, dismissed my ideas, and expected me to stay small. But here I am, successful, independent, and entirely unbothered by your disapproval. Landon's face tightened, and for the first time, I saw the vulnerability behind the arrogance. He opened his mouth, hesitated, and finally said nothing. I realized then that revenge didn't need to be loud or dramatic. It didn't require public humiliation or confrontation. Silent, consistent success was far more satisfying. The slow burn of proving someone wrong through competence, composure, and resilience, that was enough. You can leave now, Landon,
I said, my voice steady, controlled. I'll continue to do my job. I suggest you watch and learn, rather than try to undermine me. He stared at me a long moment, then turned sharply and left. Lucas lingered another second, then followed, his expression unreadable. I exhaled slowly, feeling a wave of quiet triumph wash over me. No dramatic victory, no shouting matches, just validation, power, and the undeniable satisfaction of standing my ground. I watched quietly from my desk as Landon's phone buzzed incessantly. His confident posture was faltering, subtle cracks forming around the edges of his carefully constructed image.
Ella.
This isn't what it looks like, he muttered under his breath as emails scrolled across his screen, exposing Olivia's repeated attempts to claim my work as her own. I stood, my hands folded calmly, feeling a strange mixture of vindication and compassion. Landon, it's exactly what it looks like. Olivia's actions were intentional, and you let it happen.
His head snapped up, eyes wide.
I didn't know. I swear, I had no idea she was. She was leaking my proposals, twisting the details, and trying to take credit, I said firmly. You're responsible too, Landon, for ignoring the subtleties. You've been careless with trust. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration and disbelief mingling in his expression.
I thought I was mentoring you.
I didn't expect betrayal from my own team. You expected loyalty without oversight, I replied, voice steady.
But loyalty isn't automatic. It's earned.
And it doesn't excuse negligence. Across the office, murmurs rippled as colleagues glanced at the email thread on the shared system. Vivian's smirk faded, Lucas shifted uneasily, and I felt the silent judgment settling on Landon's shoulders. His reputation, once untouchable, was cracking in real time. I glanced at Ethan Walsh, who had quietly arrived beside my desk. I knew you'd handle this well, he said softly. You stayed professional, even with Landon hovering and Olivia scheming. Thanks, I murmured, grateful for his presence. His steady gaze reminded me that support mattered, even when victory was satisfying. Landon's voice rose, desperate now. Ella, I misjudged everything. I should have noticed.
I should have.
I interrupted gently. It's too late for apologies, Landon.
Actions speak louder than regret.
And right now, your actions have consequences you can't control. He slumped in his chair, face pale.
I never meant for it to go this far.
Everyone will think I'm incompetent.
You're learning the hard way, I said quietly. Leadership isn't about power or ego. It's about responsibility and awareness. You ignored the warning signs.
Olivia's scheming was obvious once you paid attention. Emails pinged again, a memo from HR now highlighting Olivia's manipulation and her attempts to claim my work as original. Colleagues whispered, shaking their heads. Landon's expression shifted from disbelief to shame.
I
don't know how to fix this, he admitted, voice broken. I took a deep breath, feeling a mix of satisfaction and empathy.
Some mistakes can't be fixed, Landon.
They must be faced and learned from. Karma doesn't require vengeance, it unfolds naturally when trust is betrayed and negligence is ignored. He nodded slowly, finally absorbing the weight of the situation.
I
understand. I underestimated you, and I overestimated loyalty. I see that now. You see it too late, I said softly, my voice carrying neither glee nor cruelty. I hope it teaches you to value people, not just results. Actions have consequences. Ethan leaned closer, murmuring, You handled it perfectly.
Calm, professional, and fair.
Even now, showing empathy, that's rare, Ella. I smiled faintly, the warmth of his support balancing the sharp edge of justice being served. I don't enjoy seeing someone fall.
I just respect fairness.
Olivia's greed and Landon's negligence created their own downfall. Across the office, I noticed the symbolic signs. The emails, the memos pinned to notice boards, letters of clarification, all pointing to accountability. Each confirmation of truth felt like a subtle chord of karmic justice, without any need for loud confrontation. Landon looked up one last time, defeated. I hope someday, people can forgive my mistakes. Perhaps, I said quietly, returning to my work. But forgiveness doesn't erase the consequences.
Remember that.
I sank back into my chair, feeling the weight of the moment and the quiet satisfaction that justice, even in its subtle form, had been served. I found Ethan in the break room, sipping his coffee with that calm expression that always made my heart skip. "Hey," I said softly, hesitant. "Do you have a minute?" He looked up, eyes lighting with curiosity. "Of course. What's on your mind?" I hesitated, the words caught between pride and vulnerability. I've been thinking about us. About everything. And I realize I can't ignore how I feel." Ethan set down his cup, attentive. "Ella, I've been hoping you'd say that. But are you sure?" "After everything." "After everything," I interrupted gently, smiling. "I've seen my work validated, my plans succeed, and the people who underestimated me, well, they've learned their lessons. I feel strong now, in a way I never did before. And it's not bitterness I feel, it's clarity." He nodded, a slow, understanding smile spreading. "I like the sound of that clarity." I took a deep breath. "Ethan, I trust you. And I want to explore what we have, carefully, deliberately. I don't want to rush, but I don't want to hold back either." His hand brushed against mine, tentative but warm. "I feel the same. I've admired your determination from the beginning, but I've also admired your heart. You're strong, Ella, but you care deeply. That balance, it's rare." I blushed slightly, feeling a warmth that wasn't just from the coffee. I used to let people like Landon make me feel small. But I've learned, strength isn't just about proving them wrong. It's about knowing my worth and letting the right people in. Ethan's gaze softened. "I'm honored to be one of those people. You've grown so much. And I've been lucky enough to see it, quietly, without interfering." I laughed softly, the tension melting. "You have this way of supporting me without smothering me. It's comforting. And it makes me feel like I can finally stop being on guard all the time." He smiled, squeezing my hand gently. "I want to be here, Ella. For the victories, the challenges, and everything in between." I leaned back slightly, letting myself reflect. "It's strange," I admitted. "After all the scheming, the betrayals, the careful planning, the most important thing I've realized is this: I don't need revenge to define me. I've proven my worth. I've achieved my goals. And now, I can choose love, trust, and happiness." Ethan's eyes softened, understanding without judgment. "You deserve all of it. And I'll do my best to be worthy of your trust." I nodded, feeling the weight of my journey settle into something light and freeing. Landon's absence, it doesn't sting anymore. I don't miss the arrogance, the control, the constant tension. I feel liberated. My dreams, my strength, they are mine. And now, maybe my heart can be too. Ethan smiled, leaning slightly closer. "Then let's take this step together, carefully but honestly. No games, no manipulation. Just us." I squeezed his hand, letting a genuine, peaceful smile spread across my face. "Yes, just us. And I like that idea more than I can say." As I walked back to my desk, I felt a quiet confidence settle in my chest. Revenge had been measured, my dreams validated, my strength proven. But love, trust, that was something I could choose freely now, without compromise or fear. I whispered to myself, a small, satisfied smile forming. "I've come this far, and I'm stronger than I ever imagined. My heart, my career, my life, they are finally mine." I walked into the office that morning feeling a rare sense of lightness. The projects were on track, my team was functioning seamlessly, and for the first time, Landon's shadow didn't hang over me. I was finally in control, not just of my work, but of myself. "Maya, Sophie, Ethan," I called softly into the empty meeting room where I often found solace. "Come here for a minute. I have something to share." They arrived quickly, smiles bright and eyes curious. "I want to thank all of you," I said, feeling warmth spread through me. "Your support, advice, and patience have meant everything. I've grown stronger, not just professionally, but emotionally too." Sophie grinned. "Ella, you've always been strong, but you're unstoppable now. You've handled challenges with so much grace." Maya nudged me playfully. "And don't forget, we were your secret cheerleaders all along." Ethan leaned against the table, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "We weren't just cheering. We were also learning from you. Your strategy,
patience, and integrity, it's impressive.
I laughed softly.
Well, all that planning and quiet revenge had to pay off somehow. The moment felt light, joyful, yet purposeful. I looked at each of them, realizing how far I had come. My journey hadn't been easy. Betrayal, manipulation, subtle power plays. But it had led me here. I felt proud, confident, and at peace.
Just then, Landon appeared at the door.
His usual arrogance was gone, replaced with a tentative, almost humbled expression.
Ella, he began, voice low. I wanted to say I'm sorry.
I misjudged you. I doubted your abilities, and I allowed Olivia to manipulate the situation.
I see now how wrong I was.
I regarded him calmly, no trace of anger in my expression.
Thank you for acknowledging it, Landon.
But this isn't about forgiveness for me, it's about understanding and moving forward.
He nodded slowly, eyes sincere. I understand. I don't expect you to forget.
But I do hope you know that your strength has taught me a lesson I won't forget. I smiled gently, feeling a quiet sense of closure.
It's enough that you recognize it. That's all I need.
My focus is on growth, not grudges.
He gave a small, respectful nod and left without another word.
I exhaled softly, realizing that the final thread of tension had lifted. My victory wasn't in retaliation, it was in rising above it. Turning back to my team, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude.
You all made this journey meaningful, I said.
Not just because of your support, but because you reminded me that strength isn't just about proving someone wrong. It's about integrity, trust, and collaboration.
Sophie clapped lightly. Here's to you, Ella.
Dreams achieved, challenges overcome, and dignity intact.
Maya laughed softly.
And let's not forget, quiet revenge served perfectly. Ethan smiled warmly, taking my hand briefly.
I'm proud of you, Ella. You've reclaimed your life, your career, and your heart. And I'm honored to be part of it.
I squeezed his hand in return, feeling a gentle thrill.
Thank you. That means more than you know.
Today isn't just about finishing the story of betrayal, it's about starting the story of what we choose to create.
We shared a quiet, celebratory laugh.
The tension, the grudges, the careful plotting, all of it had led to this moment of triumph and empowerment. Later, as I returned to my desk, I paused to reflect. I had outmaneuvered manipulation with strategy, transformed pain into focus, and found genuine connection along the way. My dreams had been validated, my work respected, and my heart open to trust and love. I whispered to myself, a soft smile forming. I've reclaimed my life, my strength, and my self-worth. And now, everything I've worked for, it's mine. The sunlight streamed through the office windows, warming my face, and I felt an almost tangible sense of liberation. Not just from Landon or Olivia, but from doubt, fear, and the weight of past insecurities. I was free. Maya, Sophie, and Ethan joined me at the window, their laughter and camaraderie filling the space. Together, we celebrated more than professional success. We celebrated the power of resilience, integrity, and self-belief. For the first time in years, I felt whole. Dreams fulfilled, revenge complete, and my heart open to the future. I whispered one last time, quietly but firmly, this is who I am now. Independent, strong, and unstoppable.